Northeast El Paso, a large fire severely damages a home on the 10,000 block of Sapphire. It happened around 5 o'clock this morning. This is video of the fire sent in by a viewer. Officials with El Paso Fire Department say no one was at the home at the time of the blaze. An around-the-clock news crew was on the scene shortly after the fire department extinguished the fire. As you can see, the roof collapsed. Rescuers did save the family dog and no other injuries were reported. The total estimated damage to the home was $120,000. An investigation is ongoing. And switching gears to storm track weather. Now let's get a look at your first forecast with storm tracker Dan Martinez, and it's going to be a great day to be outdoors, right, Dan?
Things look good for our Super Bowl Sunday. I know many people have plans to be outdoors, at least for the cookout part before the game. Things look nice. Let's show you right now clouds and radar. You see that we have a clear satellite and radar picture over the southwest. Just had some rain move through the Tucson area, but that has quickly fizzled on out as of this hour. Now, as far as our temperatures here in our region, well, not looking bad right now. 44 in El Paso, 42 Las Cruces, 34 for Ruidoso still this morning. A better look here in the El Paso area. It feels like 39 degrees with the wind chill factor that we have, and feeling like 38 degrees with those clouds still hanging around portions of Las Cruces. Here's what you can expect as we go through the day today. At noon, 54 degrees, 56 degrees early this afternoon, and then by the early evening we'll be talking about temperatures around 55 degrees. So a pretty nice day overall. The rain chance quickly diminished, so that's what we wanted for our Sunday.
Okay, good to hear. Yes, thanks, Dan. And moving on, we've learned the two men who died in an early morning crash yesterday were brothers. It happened shortly after 2:30 in the morning on Loop 375 near Spur 601. The men have been identified as 25-year-old Jesse Gutierrez and 22-year-old Adrian Ramirez. Police say the two men were with two other men in a car driving north on Loop 375. The car then crashed into a guardrail as a tow truck driver was assisting the group. Police say the men got into an argument in the middle of the road. Police say that's when another car heading north hit both of the men. Now, these are pictures the family shared with us. This is a picture of Adrian Ramirez with his two daughters he left behind. And we also have another picture with the brothers together. We'll have that a little later for you. Gutierrez left behind a daughter. No other injuries were reported. Police say they believe Gutierrez, Ramirez, and the driver that hit them were drinking. Charges are pending for the driver. And police are investigating another crash that happened last night in that same area of town. This is a look at Loop 375 in Pebble Hills at around 9 last night. 3 cars crashed, closing the southbound lanes of the freeway. El Paso police tell us one person was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. We'll be sure to update you with any information as soon as it becomes available. Services for Chicano activist Reyes Lopez Tijerina were held yesterday in downtown El Paso. Organizations and people from across the country attended and paid respects to Lopez Tijerina. Dozens gathered at Sacred Heart Church for the funeral mass. Lopez Tijerina was most known for his work helping people keep land that had been in their family for generations, land they obtained through grants.
Had it not been for him single-handedly bringing the issue of the Mercedes, the land grants, to the forefront both nationally and internationally, all of us that are land grant heirs and land grant activists would not be doing the work that we are doing in our communities right now.
The wake was held at the La Fe Cultural Center just a few blocks away. And tomorrow, Texas pays tribute to the man depicted in the film American Sniper. Monday, February 2nd, will be known as Chris Kyle Day, according to Governor Chris Abbott. Kyle became a legend in military circles due to his 160 confirmed kills. He's considered one of the most lethal snipers in U.S. history. Kyle was murdered on a Texas gun range in 2013. The movie based on his life, American Sniper, continues to be a hit in theaters. And later this month, Las Cruces will honor the lives lost in the bowling alley massacre. It'll be 25 years since it happened. The film A Nightmare in Las Cruces Part 2 opens on the very day of the anniversary, February 10th, at Bassett Center and the Mesilla Valley Mall. Both will run the film for a week. Part 2 consists of the entire first film with the addition of 30 to 40 new added scenes. The director of the film, Charlie Min, spoke to NMSU criminal justice students about the shooting this week.
I'm here today to create awareness about an unsolved crime. This is the worst thing that's ever happened in Las Cruces history, the bowling alley massacre, and was such a landmark anniversary coming up of 25 years. It's important to get the case out there again. You can't solve something unless you talk about it. So here's a great way to get the case out there and get people talking again.
Sunday, February 8th, ABC 7 Extra will be dedicated to the 25th anniversary of the massacre, including the status of the investigation and survivors. And tonight on ABC 7 Extra, the City Council is considering a municipal ID program that will mainly benefit those who can't easily obtain an ID, like the homeless and undocumented immigrants. Host Maria Garcia will moderate the discussion between Robert Heyman with the Border Network for Human Rights, the organization petitioning the city for the IDs, and Barbara Carrasco, a local conservative advocating against the measure. That's tonight at 10:35 on ABC 7 Extra. And turning now to the record-setting flight for two men in a balloon. Their journey across the Pacific Ocean took them from Japan to a dramatic splashdown in Mexico. ABC's Aditi Roy has more on their incredible flying feat.
This was the dramatic reunion moments after two men landed back on Earth, making history after a record-setting balloon voyage.
There are a lot of dramatic moments.
Pilots of the Two Eagles balloon, Troy Bradley and Leonid Teketyev, greeted by their teammates and mission control. Once the men landed, they were picked up by this shrimp boat. In fact, you can still see the white balloon and the yellow capsule there right on the boat. Rushing by boat to meet the men after they splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, several miles off the coast of Baja, Mexico, after realizing a 15-year dream.
There were some tense moments, but the realization that it was actually happening was pretty incredible.
The pair took off in Saga, Japan last Sunday aboard this state-of-the-art balloon from 12 to 22,000 feet. The airborne explorers sharing views of Japan's Mount Fuji and the clouds far below along their 6,600-mile trek across the Pacific Ocean. Teketyev tweeting out a gondola selfie, Bradley phoning home to mission control.
The mission is going wonderfully, enjoying a beautiful sunrise right now over the Pacific.
For 7 days, the co-pilots lived in a capsule the size of a king-size bed, taking turns asleep on a single cot, battling 50-degree temperatures and at times having to wear oxygen masks because of the high altitude. This morning, their feet planted firmly on the ground, but their heads still on cloud nine. Aditi Roy, ABC News, Baja, California.
Still ahead on ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso weekend. After a large winter storm hit the Northeast last week, more snow and bitter cold temperatures are expected. Coming up, we'll show you when and where it's expected to hit today. And later, the big game is later today between the Seahawks and the Patriots. Well, we'll show you this interesting spin on a Puppies edition of Super Bowl. Time now is 8:08. Let's take a live look at traffic this morning. Or rather, let's go to Dan. Hi, Dan.
We do have a lot to talk about as far as weather is concerned, but it's good news. We'll talk about that after the break.
You're watching ABC 7, where news comes first.
We're watching ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso Weekend with Josie Ortegon and Storm Track Weather with Dan Martinez.
Welcome back. Time now is 8:10. As if the blizzard earlier this week wasn't enough, parts of New England are expected to get hit with even more snow. Bitter cold wind chills and strong winds are hovering across the